Welcome, everybody, to the Doodlifts podcast. Today, we have the honor of hosting Hulk from Railbreakers NFT and myself. I'm Doodlifts, and we're going to go ahead and get rolling. So, like I said, we have Hulk from Railbreakers NFT here. So, Hulk, would you like to introduce yourself and tell our audience a little bit about Railbreakers NFT?
Yeah, of course. And Doodlifts, thank you so much for having me today and on this podcast show. So, like you said, this is Hulk Husky, one of the co-founders for Railbreakers NFT. You've been kindly enough to invite me here today. And yeah, probably the best place to start is to give you and the listeners a breakdown on who Railbreakers are, what our project is all about. Then we can get into kind of some of the good stuff. So for anyone who is not familiar with Railbreakers NFT, we are a NFT project community with a shared mission on health and fitness. So outside of being interested in NFTs and NFT communities, our members are also focused on weight training and becoming physically stronger. And there's a lot of really fun stuff that comes along with that. I mean, at the core, we are really trying to bridge the gap between Web3 NFT communities and IRL fitness. And there's a lot of good stuff that kind of falls under that. And we can kind of dive into that more when you have more specific questions. But yeah, we're still very much in the beginning stages of our project right now. We're just trying to build community. We're trying to bring utility as much as possible pre-mint, which is still TBD. For anyone who's heard about our spaces or have tuned into our spaces for the last few months, we hold these Muscle Talk weekly Twitter spaces on our Twitter page, Railbreakers NFT, where we bring on different weightlifting experts, nutritionists, bodybuilders, NFT fitness influencers onto our Twitter spaces to talk about a variety of topics, but most of them have a common trend and a common theme of different ways that people can improve their IRL fitness through the practice of weight training.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great intro. And I've definitely listened to some of your Muscle Talk Twitter spaces. And so we'll definitely get back to that in just a moment. So thanks for the intro for Railbreakers. And I can't wait to kind of dive in there and hear more about that. Initially, you are Hulk Husky. I remember I mentioned that I really liked your PFP, and you even said something to the effect of like it was a rug, but you love the art so much. So I love that. Like I just thought that was awesome. Because you're here for the art, But why don't you tell us a little bit about your history with Web3? Like, how did you get into the crypto space? What does your crypto origin story look like?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when it comes to Web3, I would by no means consider myself a Web3 professional. Like I mentioned to you before we started the recording and before we got into the podcast, I mean, I do have my day-to-day IRL job. But in regards to how I kind of got into the Web3 space, how I got into crypto, NFTs, I'm sure my story is probably similar to maybe 90% of the people that will tune into this podcast. But I started buying crypto in early 2020. Really started off buying Bitcoin, moved into Ethereum, then kind of got a little wild and bought some other altcoins. And I still actually do invest in crypto. For a while, I was really into Phantom. That's probably been my biggest win to date in regards to like me getting in and actually exiting at the right time and making a profitable investment. I still hold a good amount of Phantom. I still really like Phantom, but now I'm primarily just an Ethereum guy. I started buying NFTs in mid 2021, kind of after the craze of Bored Ape Yacht Club when that started to become prevalent. I unfortunately was not one of the people that bought a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT mid 2021. Obviously, that would have been awesome. I did not buy that. I bought some other NFTs, and I've kind of just really been interested and involved in NFT communities since then.
That's awesome. You heard it here first. Hulk took profits. No, that's great. That's awesome. So yeah, 2020s, you're starting to crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, some altcoins in there. So I think that's super fun. Yeah, don't we all wish that we got on Bored Ape? But let's see. So that's a little bit of your history with crypto. So tell me a little bit about your history with fitness, because I'm guessing this Railbreakers is kind of a union. crypto and fitness. We'll dive more into the specifics of that. So what is your own personal journey with like health and fitness?
Yeah, definitely. So I have always been an athlete. I mean, I played club soccer growing up, played on the high school varsity team all 4 years. Used to really be into team sports. By the end of high school, when I was like 17, I started getting into weightlifting, weight training. I was actually talking about this the other day in one of our Muscle Talk Twitter spaces, but it kind of took me getting a negative comment on my body composition to really jumpstart my interest in weight training, working out. So I've been in the gym, working out consistently, weightlifting for about 12 years now. There are years where I am a lot more hyper focused than other years. This year happens to be one of the good years where I'm actually sticking to my training plan. I'm hitting the gym 6 days a week, always taking a rest day because you need rest to grow. That's important to note. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of just been a big fan of weight training for the past 12 years. I've followed along a lot with the bodybuilder, powerlifting community. I by no means would consider myself a bodybuilder or a power lifter. I'm just mainly a fan of the sport and a active gym goer. It's something that is really important to me. I mean, outside of just being physically fit, I think there is definitely a direct correlation with, you know, uh, your mental stability. For the most part, people that are in good shape, they're practicing weight training, they tend to have a lot better of a mood than people that are not. So for me, it's always been something that I've kind of turned to help me, kind of stay aligned. And it's just a sport that I really enjoy, and I've been doing it for 12 years. I see myself doing this for life. As we preach all the time in our Muscle Talk Twitter spaces, lifting weights, weight training is a lifestyle. So yeah, that's kind of my background there.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I think 12 years is no joke for a training history. Even to your point, some years better than others, but I mean the consistency is clearly there. What sports did you play 12 years ago, or what do you continue to play now?
Yeah, so I grew up playing soccer. That was kind of my sport of choice. To be fully honest, I kind of became less interested in team sports and more just with like solo sports. So I used to do a lot of rock climbing. I don't do it as much since COVID happened a few years ago. Definitely am interested in kind of getting back into it. I think the best shape I've ever been in my life was when I was consistently hitting the gym and also hitting the rock climbing gym. I mean, there's a lot of really great benefits of rock climbing in regards to your fitness. I mean, your core will be insane if you are like actually practicing rock climbing and doing sports like that. I've also always played tennis. That is technically a team sport, but also a lot of times it's played solo. So I guess there is a trend that I'm kind of a solo dolo person when it comes to my fitness. But yeah, those are some sports that I played. Tennis is kind of something more that I play consistently. In the past 2 years, I've gotten more into paddle tennis. But mainly my primary sport and what I focus most of my energy on is weight training.
Nice. Yeah. No, I totally understand the solo sport approach. And the rock climbing thing is funny because there's actually some evidence to show that grip strength is a direct correlation to like long life and health. So maybe rock climbers haven't figured out.
Yeah, for sure. And something that people don't realize about rock climbing is that it's actually all about like your lower body strength more than your upper body strength. Because if you go to the rock climbing gym, of course, you're going to see some really buff guys, buff girls just pulling themselves up the walls with their arms. But what's most important is your lower body strength, because that makes it so you have more sustainable energy, especially when you're doing the outside climbs.
No, that makes total sense. I think that was my experience is, yeah, you're pushing with the legs and you're using your hands kind of to hold onto the wall, basically. And a lot of times you'll see rock climbers hanging off the wall, really just kind of almost like loose arms,
Yeah.
if you will. Because, yeah, bigger muscle groups. So got a lot more energy down there. And I like what you were saying, too, about, consistent resistance training and engaging physical activity helps you to feel grounded and helps you to feel like a more overall healthy person. Like I think there's more benefits than just the physique benefits, that we often talk about. So knowing a little bit about your history with crypto, your kind of longer history with, fitness and athletics. So Railbreakers NFT, you said it's here to bridge the gap between fitness and Web3 crypto. And that's, I think, a phrase that we hear a lot in many different projects, not just fitness. But we do hear it in fitness. So for you, what does it mean to bridge the gap between fitness and Web3? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, of course. So obviously, if you're browsing through Twitter, you're on TikTok, Instagram, there obviously is a very big fitness influencer community. There's a lot of people that have shared interest in fitness, all different categories, whether it's running, whether it's weight training, which is, of course, our favorite, whether it's just general sports. There is a big interest, and there are many communities out there that are dedicated to those different types of physical activities. The vast majority of them are not interested in NFTs. They don't know anything about NFTs. They certainly don't understand NFT communities. So a big part of our project, of what we're kind of pushing for, especially right now, and we have been for the past few months, is bridging the gap, like you said. So for what that means to us is bringing people that are interested in fitness, interested in different sort of physical activities, and kind of like introducing them to how great NFTs and NFT communities are. So I would say the vast majority of people that we have in our Twitter spaces, for the most part, aren't involved in NFTs or NFT communities. But just by bringing those people into our communities, we're bringing people who follow them into our spaces, and they're interacting with different tweets, different community members who follow along with us, and kind of like we help bridge the gap that way, and also vice versa. I mean, the bridge gets gapped both ways. So the example I just gave you right there is bringing people who are interested in fitness communities, might not have any knowledge or
Sure.
any interest in NFT communities. That was the example I just gave right there, but also it works vice versa. So it has been the past 6 or 7 months, maybe even a little bit less, because with NFTs and crypto, time kind of flies by, as actually does everything.
Yeah, the time warp.
Yeah, there has definitely been a big push towards touching grass. So touching grass is a pretty great concept at the core. I mean, it's definitely those words right there are used as clickbait on a lot of different, Twitter accounts, crypto related, NFT related accounts, but it definitely is an important concept. But for us, we believe that touching grass is just phase one. We believe, phase two is touching iron. So outside of getting out of your room, out of your bed, off your mobile device, off your desktop, it's outside of just getting outside, it's important to also stay physically fit. And what we promote, and what we are most interested in, and what people in our community are most interested in is weight training. And, of course, staying physically fit through different activities that you would do at the gym, whether it be, a public gym, a home gym. So that's kind of how we bridge the gap there as well.
I love that. Touching iron is the evolution of touching grass. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you that, yeah, a lot of people in the kind of crypto native space could probably, quote unquote, touch grass and touch iron. I think that'd be really good. And I think it's cool too that you are trying to bring non-crypto native people into the crypto and Web3 space via fitness, which is kind of like this universal experience. Not, as we know, not everybody does engage in physical fitness and physical activity, which is something that I think we're all trying to improve, but it's still a huge activity that the world's population takes part in, So I think it's a great avenue to kind of onboard people. Is there specific strategies you've used as far as, advertising or marketing your Twitter spaces to attract non-crypto native people?
For the most part, it's just kind of been through networking on Twitter. We've been in contact with a lot of different, what you would call fitfluencers, but I like to think that the people that we actually bring into our Twitter spaces and connect with our community are very legit. We don't just reach out to random people who get likes. They're fudding miscellaneous topics on their feed, and just getting engagement that way. We really reach out to people that we think um, are actually putting out educational content that is valid. And that if we were to connect them to people in our community and they were to kind of follow along with the content in the advice that they're giving, that they actually will see an improvement in their physical life, their physical fitness, in their IRL life. So for the most part, it's just through networking. I mean, of course, there's some sort of level of, I wouldn't say cold calling because we're not calling people up on the phone, but reaching out to people that aren't interested. That of course happens. But yeah, for the most part, it's just through networking.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think it's really cool that you, like you said, have integrity with your guests, because there can be so much misinformation in the fitness space. So I think it's cool that you're acting as a kind of a steward of your audience, and providing quality guest information. I think that's very, very cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. That is something we pride ourselves on. So we plan on continuing to do that.
yeah, that's awesome. And I want to touch back on the guests you've had on your spaces in a moment, but I do want to ask this because I just realized that this has kind of been a burning question this whole time for me. Is, there's many different types of NFT projects. Pure utility, collectibles, PFPs, passes, things like that. Like, is Railbreakers going to have a quote unquote PFP, or what is that going to look like? What, if you don't mind sharing, what's your mint going to end up looking like?
Yeah, for sure. So right now we are in art development. We're in the very early stages of art development. So we're probably 6 to 8 weeks away from today's date, August 26th, from even putting out any sort of teasers to what our art will look like. But it's okay because right now, as we've mentioned, our focus is kind of on building community. But our art, we are planning on making it a PFP project, but definitely backing it with utility. We have some utility that we're already building out. We've already started building out our website, and we have started working on all that stuff behind the scenes. We haven't made so many announcements about it yet because we're still trying to iron out some of the legal stuff. But we do plan on having art that looks great, that people will want to rock as their PFP. But outside of that, backing it with a lot of utility, because especially now, as much as people love to pump and dump these free mints that literally have zero utility, pop up overnight and make a profit, I think for the most part, the people that stay in this space are looking for utility. And there's a lot of FUD on utility. I mean, that's some of crypto Twitter's favorite thing. That's like one of
Yeah,
their favorite thing to FUD. But
yeah, it's a good
yeah,
meme.
but for the people that we want in our community, and the people that are here to stay for NFTs, it is important to offer utility. So we are working on various different ways of providing maximum utility to our NFT holders post mint.
Cool. No, I think that's very cool. I'm excited to see what your artwork looks like, and what some of that utility that you're planning on bringing. So to circle back to the spaces and the guests that you've had, that's one thing that has caught my attention with your project specifically, is that you're always hosting these muscle talk spaces. You're doing a lot of reach out. So I think that's great. And your guests have been fitness professionals in the NFT space, fitness professionals in the traditional fitness space, and other fitness projects as well. And so I just think that that's been super cool to see you collaborate with, especially even other projects. And this leads me to my question here is, and it's something I've asked other fitness projects as well. As we see all these different fitness projects kind of emerge in the space, how do you see them coexisting or collaborating, or do they exist as separate entities? What do you see that ecosystem kind of emerging and looking like?
Yeah, of course. So I think it definitely is important to work together with other like-minded fitness related NFT projects. So and like you mentioned, we've included those sort of projects in our spaces. We've been collaborating with them behind the scenes. So it definitely is important for us. And I think in general for these sort of projects to be working together. And the main reason why I think this is because at the core, we have a very similar mission, and it is to influence and provide tools and information to people that are within our NFT communities, focused on fitness, whether it just be like general fitness, or for us, specifically like weight training. It's important for us all to work together because we have the same mission. I do think, though, that although it is important for us to, frequently collaborate, bring each other up, bring our communities together, bring our communities up together, I do think that it is important for each one of these fitness projects to have different differentiators when it comes to utility, when it comes to art. We don't want everything to look the same. I mean, at the end of the day, as much as we want to push utility and we plan on building out utility for our NFT holders, there are a lot of people that, maybe will have to sell their NFT because they need the money. Maybe some people are trying to buy in and profit off their NFT. Whatever the reason might be, there needs to be some very solid differentiating kind of factors for each one of these NFT fitness related communities. So kind of a high level response to what I just said, because I know I just rambled a bit, is that
it's all good.
Yeah, yes, it is important for these different fitness and these different fitness NFT related communities to kind of collaborate and work together and bring each other up. But it is important for them to all be building out their own unique utility to offer to holders and members of their community.
No, I totally agree. And maybe even just to dive down a little bit more into that, do you think that either do you have a vision for this, or do you see this emerging? Do you think that Railbreakers has maybe an identity, almost like, and I'll give you a context, is like meta pumps, for example. You've had Whitney on your spaces a few times, or at least I think. And meta pumps is very clearly a quote unquote bodybuilding style project. They're with Jay Cutler. He's a bodybuilder. Whitney is in the bodybuilding space. I think about Fit Friends. I did a podcast with them. They seem to be a very, maybe Gen Pop approachable project, if you will, as it would be. So maybe setting up a spectrum like that, right? Fit Friends on one, Meta Pumps on the other. Do you think that Railbreakers has its own identity in that or on that spectrum? And how would you describe that?
Yeah, of course. So I would say that we're more closely aligned with MetaPumps than Fit Friends, because MetaPumps, like you said, is a bodybuilder focused project. There are people in their community, for the most part, that are not bodybuilders, obviously, because it's really hard to get to that level, but they are people that are interested in weight training. MetaPumps also is really focused on their metaverse that they're building out. I wouldn't call it their metaverse, but their meta gym. Railbreakers, we are not a metaverse project. So that's a differentiator between us and them. But I definitely think that we're building out our identity as well. And I would say our identity are people that are, of course, interested in weight training as a primary sport and are frequent gym goers and are wanting to educate themselves more on how to increase their physical output in the gym. So our identity, I think, is kind of it's kind of like a little bit more vast, I would say, because I feel like there's people that are in our community that I've noticed who are either, they're beginners in the gym. And even though they're beginners in the gym, a lot of the content and a lot of the utility that we're gonna provide to them is kind of catered towards those sort of people. But also our utility that we're going to be building out and the content that we're putting out also makes sense for someone who's more of like an intermediate or advanced person in the gym. So I would say that our identity is more of kind of all encompassing for just like the general gym goer that's focused on fitness, not necessarily a bodybuilder, but it's kind of more all encompassing of just any person that is focused on becoming stronger, increasing their physical output, and also is obviously a fan of weight training.
Oh yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's a good reminder that the MetaPumps is doing their meta gym, and that's their primary thing. And it is really just fun to watch the identities of these projects emerge and the different utility they provide, and the different artwork. To your point, so I think that's really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing yours unfold for sure.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, no, very cool, very cool. All right, so let's maybe do some rapid fire questions. You ready for that?
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Okay, okay. So let's see. Do you have a favorite supplement?
Creatine,
Creatine.
100%.
Creatine. Okay, very cool.
Not
Very
even a
cool.
question.
Nice. I don't disagree with you. Whey protein, creatine for me. All right. If you could train with Arnold or Hafthor Bjornsson, who would you train with?
Arnold.
Okay. Great answer. Great answer.
Even though that is very hard to answer because they're a different style, bodybuilders. But I mean, who wouldn't want to train with Arnold?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's hard to beat that. It's hard to beat that. Speaking of that, have you ever seen the movie Pumping Iron?
I actually have not. I just recently saw something about it on TikTok, and I was like, I don't know how I haven't watched it. Isn't that like a documentary
Oh
though?
yeah, it's a classic. That's an induction into meathead lifestyle. So
Yeah,
would recommend.
I'll probably watch that tonight.
Nice, that's great. That's great. All right, another rapid fire question. So Dungeon Gym or Lifetime Fitness?
What is Lifetime Fitness?
Okay, so maybe more of like geez, I thought those were everywhere.
Is
So
that like a gym?
like yeah, it's like more of like a high-end health club. They got the hot tubs and the spa. They have all the nice machines, you know what I mean?
I'd probably prefer Lifetime Fitness.
Okay, all right.
Only because I'm not a professional bodybuilder. If I was a professional bodybuilder or kind of, if my workout program was more geared towards the bodybuilding lifestyle, I'd probably prefer a dungeon gym, but I'm not, so probably
Cool.
Lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. Totally agree. All right. And let's see, maybe just a couple more broad questions on kind of the crypto Web3 space at large. For you, as we know, we're in this, bear market at this point. Like, what has it been like for you as a project owner and a builder during this time? Like, has it influenced the pace of building your project? Has that had an effect on you? Have you had just your head down building? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely influenced the pace at which we're pushing out our project. During a bull market, we might be more influenced to push out our project faster so people don't lose interest. As of right now, I think the bear market is giving us an opportunity to spend more time and allocate more resources to building a project that different NFT enthusiasts and, of course, people that have common interest as to what we're putting out will actually kind of stick around for. So I think that the bear market has given us a lot of opportunity to like spend more time building and also develop a more engaged and interacting community. So I wouldn't say that it's been like anything negative because like I said, right now during this phase of our project, we're really focused on building community. So the bear market has given us the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, no, I can see that. It's been interesting. You've seen in this bear market projects act like they've already minted in a way. Like you said, you've made a point of providing utility pre-mint. And honestly, if I would have looked at your project and not known that you hadn't minted, I would have assumed that you were in a quote unquote well-established project at this point. So I think kudos to you for doing what you've done during this time and continuing to build that community.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, from day one, we knew that we wanted to offer at least some utility to people in our community pre-mint. So that's why we do our Muscle Talk weekly Twitter Spaces. There's some other stuff that we're going to be putting out as well, but right now that's our primary focus, pre-mint.
Awesome, awesome. Now, just for anybody who's wanting to find out more about Railbreakers NFTs, what social platforms are you on? Do you have a current website? Where can people find the most information about Railbreakers?
Yeah, right now you can only find us on Twitter. We are working on building our website. And we are considering opening up a Discord. But if we opened up Discord, we would do that kind of closer to launch, closer to after the art development has been complete and we've actually like put out what our art will look like. But as of right now, you can just find us on Twitter at Railbreakers NFT. And that's our primary social media account at this time.
Okay, very cool. Well, last thing, I mean, is there anything that you would want our listeners or anybody in the general public to know about Railbreakers NFT? Anything to look forward to in the future? Maybe a little alpha, not that you have to give any, but just anything that people can look forward to for Railbreakers in the future.
Yeah, of course. So we are currently, and this is kind of just like a sneak peek, but we're currently in discussions with multiple different fitness related brands and professional services. We have multiple LOIs out to kind of start partnerships with different brands and professional services, like I just mentioned, because we are building out a fitness, a Web3 fitness related marketplace. So there's going to be more information that's going to come out about this on our Twitter page in the next few weeks. But that's just kind of some high level alpha to share there. Yeah. But if I was going to leave anyone who's listening to this podcast with anything, I would just want to say that if you are into NFTs, if you are into NFT communities, and if you are working on increasing your body's composition through physical activities such as weight training, you should definitely be following us because you will catch daily alpha that way.
No, that's very true. Yeah. And this is a testament to your guys' spaces, is if I'm working, I'm bummed that I can't be there. So
appreciate that. And of course, we always love when you join, and especially when you join us as a speaker.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's a great introduction to Railbreakers NFT. You've heard a lot of good stuff here from Hulk. And so it's been such a pleasure to have you on, Hulk, and have you tell us more about your project. And we look forward to the future and see what you guys do to continue bridging the gap between Web3 and fitness.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Doodlifts, again for having us.
All right. Thanks, Hulk.